polite, bitch. Fuck you talking about? If that nigga want war, bitch, we ready. It ain't hard to find us. Hawk, I keep that stick locked, loaded, boy, he'll fade you line up. Young nigga name is Slayer. What you think, boy? You be done to try. Soft coast shit, we bout it. UPK, shoot solid. Little bitch think I'm crazy, think I'm playing like bitch, I ain't the one. Warfare every day, so who is you, bitch? I don't need your love. Killers right round the way. What you think? I love this brotherhood. Hood. More than you, bitch. Sharp on shit, I'm bout it. UPK, shoot solid. Fuck nigga don't want war. It ain't enough clips in your army. All the bitches wanna take my piece. All they hoes wanna take my piece. All they niggas wanna take my piece. No, I can't let a dog take it from me. I can't let a dog take it from me. You a hoe study and you dummy. And these bitches really out this bitch walking around like they don't know nothing. And a lame nigga fall for them and get set up for the coins and get gunned down, man down. Shoulda took the time, get a damn no. But I see the shawty and I show her. She could never get a piece whole. You a dirt ass, rust ass neck bitch with that fake ass jewelry. In Tennessee while I'm touring. It's a Tennessee, but she luring. Yeah, that sucker duck bitch ass boy, fuck nigga over that bit muggin'. I say, if that nigga want war, bitch, we ready. It ain't hard to find us. Hawk, I keep that stick locked, loaded, boy, he'll fade you line up. Young nigga name is Slayer. What you think, boy? You be done to try. Soft coast shit, we bout it. UPK, shoot solid. Little bitch think I'm crazy, think I'm playing like bitch, I ain't the one. Warfare every day, so who is you, bitch? I don't need your love. Killers right round the way. What you think? I love this brotherhood. Hood. More than you, bitch. You a lame nigga down to me. Eat candy, but I'm sucker free. You a little nigga, ain't nothing to me. Base up, boy, I fit a beat. Yeah, AR-223. Draco with a magazine. Yeah, that clip run like limousine. I shoot your ass in the spleen. Boy, I bust your ass in the temple. We debating by the temple. Tell the truth, boy, you's a victim. And you squirm off like a lizard. Nigga walk down my road. Why does nigga come down my road? Boy, come down my road. Boy, I charge your ass toll fee. I'm a real big priest, nigga. UPK play for keys, nigga. Commander General get a damn order, but ain't nothing to me to damn kill you. I stuck in his ass like a cat. All weapons, boys full of tech. Boy, like a close combat. Nigga got popped off for a neck. If that nigga want war, bitch, we ready. It ain't hard to find us. Hawk, I keep that stick locked, loaded, boy, he'll fade you line up. Young nigga name is Slayer. What you think, boy? You be done to try. Soft coast shit, we bout it. UPK, shoot solid. Little bitch think I'm crazy, think I'm playing like bitch, I ain't the one. Warfare every day, so who is you, bitch? I don't need your love. Killers right round the way. What you think? I love this brotherhood. Hood. More than you, bitch.
Christ said 7 women gonna be on one nigga in the end time. Nigga, fuck wrong with you, boy? Stressed by that damn hoe ass bitch. Fake ass nigga too. Dumb ass motherfucker. Fuck you.
All right, 1 2 1 2. Y'all should be able to hear me. Give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Give me a 1 chat if you can hear me. Shalom Israel. Oh, you are live with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Priest and Captain Soccer War holding down the class live from Memphis, Tennessee. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have classes here in Memphis from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tonight, we're getting started a little late. We might run from 7 to 9. Give me a 1 if y'all can hear me. Give me a 1 in the chat. Okay, so you can hear me now, right? You should be able to hear me now. All right. Again, we have classes here in Memphis from, Most High Christ. Appreciate you, Jay Harrington, the Water Oshbacher Rumya. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we live from Memphis, Tennessee every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We have classes here in Memphis from 6 to 8 p.m. Tonight, we're running a little late, so we're going to go from 7 to 9. Since 1969, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge has been teaching so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2025, going into 26, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on this earth. So what we like to do with these classes is give brothers and sisters an opportunity to go into this book called the Bible, to gain the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that is placed inside of this book, so that we can come back to being the people that the Lord called us to be and to reclaim our righteous place on the earth as kings, priests, princesses, and daughters of Zion. With that being said, we'd like to start the class off with questions. Any brothers or sisters have any questions online, type them in. If you have questions in the room, raise your hand. And if there are no questions, we'll go ahead and get into the topic of tonight's class. As you can see, the topic of tonight's class is the truth about the fall of America. All right. The truth about the fall of America. Tonight's class is going to be concerning the prophecies in the Bible pertaining to the fall of Babylon. Oftentimes, when we talk about the fall of Babylon, and we talk about the fall of America, the image that appears in most people's minds is of a, post-apocalyptic world, a world where 911 is no longer available, and there's, shortages on groceries and anarchy in the streets, and there's no police, and, just a world that is full of, it's out of control. And we're going to examine the scriptures and go in the Bible concerning the fall of Babylon and find out that there's actually a condition that exists prior to that post-apocalyptic imagery that many of us have in our minds of the world or society of a fallen Babylon. And actually what we're going to see in the Bible is that we are living in the days of the fall of Babylon as prescribed in the scriptures. The fall of Babylon precedes the destruction of Babylon. The fall of Babylon is a period of time where the society is in disarray and is not functioning, not because it has been destroyed, but because it is in the midst of being exposed for the home of all the evil and unclean things and people on the earth. And that's the days we live in right now, with all of the turmoil going on in the government, with the ways in which the American, method of doing business is being exposed. The Lord is allowing us to see that this place is not a place that is built on morality. It's not a place that is built on, fairness and keeping the rules. That this indeed is a place that is built on, violating and going against everything that they said America was. This is not a place that is about democracy and about fairness and about equal opportunity. This is a place that is built on, lies and deceit and cheating and being respecters of persons and, robbing and stealing and doing every abominable thing you could do in order to try to get ahead. And that's what we're going to talk about today concerning the truth about the fall of America. America has already fallen. America is in the midst of its fall, and we are being allowed to witness it as the Lord prepares the way for us to, raise up as a nation and as a people while our oppressive society falls and goes by the wayside. All right. So with that being said, the first scripture we're going to get into is Revelation chapter 18 and verse 2. All right. Revelation chapter 18 and verse 2. Again, the first thing we have to understand about the fall of Babylon is that the fall of Babylon precedes the destruction of Babylon. All right, the fall of Babylon and the destruction of Babylon are not the same thing. All right, the fall of Babylon is what precedes the destruction of Babylon. And that's what we're going to learn in this breakdown today. All right, so let's go ahead and get the book of Revelation chapter 18 and verse 2. All right. All right. So here we go. Revelation chapter 18, verse 2. And it reads, "And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen and become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird." Everybody understands? Babylon is fallen and become the habitation of every foul and unclean bird. You understand? In the fall of Babylon, Babylon becomes the home of every foul and unclean and hateful spirit. And that is what is taking place in America today. If you look in the government, the military, you look at the business structure, America at one time had, boundaries and limitations. There were certain people that the American business interests wouldn't deal with publicly because of the what they call it, the public relations issues that it would cause. And once was a time where American businesses wouldn't outright do public business with the countries in the Middle East that are staunchly orthodox in their religion of Islam. Meaning what? Countries like Qatar, countries like Saudi Arabia, countries like the United Arab Emirates, where in those countries they believe in Sharia law or the law of Muhammad, right? And those laws are very strict and limited in how people can move and function. Over there in Iran and in those countries, for many years, women didn't have any rights. Women had to dress in those little suits covering their full bodies. Women couldn't drive. Women couldn't get education. There's a lot of human rights violations that were going on in those countries. And because of it, America, even though the government may do business with them, even though they may have deals for oil, they wouldn't allow them to do things like invest in sports teams or invest in, certain publicly recognized industries. Nowadays, you look up the Arabs, and their buying power is present everywhere in America. Go look at the sports teams. You understand? Right now on Prime Video, if you are a basketball fan, there's the Emirates NBA Basketball Cup. Every time there's a basketball game that's important, you see Emirates right there. What is Emirates? That is the global branding arm of the United Arab Emirates countries over there in the Middle East. They've now created a brand that is called the Emirates. I believe they have Emirates. They have a airplane brand and all types of things. Guess what? America, becoming the cage of every foul and unclean bird, have completely opened their arms and embraced, those Arab countries and their Sharia laws and their human rights violations. They don't have no issues or no problems with them people. There once was a time where, there were organizations that would talk about freeing Tibet, and they would talk about the Uyghurs being oppressed over there in those Chinese countries, and they focus on human rights violations that's happening to Christians in these foreign countries. Nowadays, American businesses don't even bat an eye. You understand? Them sweatshops over there in China where they manufacturing these goods at pennies on the dollar, and the people are starving and barely being taken care of, and there's a humanitarian crisis. You don't even hear talks about that anymore in the media, in the news, because it's not important no more. Human rights violations is the order of the day. So much so, America no longer is the beacon of, hope and fairness and equality. Look at what they're doing to the so-called Hispanics, to the Native American Indians, to the Latinos. Look at what they're doing to the Mexicans and the Guatemalans and the El Salvadorians and the Costa Ricans. You understand? And the Hondurans that are coming up here to this country just looking to get a job. They're deporting and demonizing these people because guess what? America is no longer the place where you can come and seek asylum. America is no longer the place you could come and, fulfill your dreams and your fantasies. America is the place where you come to get abused and taken advantage of, to get mistreated. Babylon is fallen and has become the cage of every foul and unclean bird. Right now, the American government is fighting a public relations war to support, you understand, the abusers of children. The whole Epstein files and the fight to keep the files out of the courts and to keep them from being released is about protecting people who have harmed children. Well, that's the legacy of America. That's the image that the world has of Babylon, which is let you know that this place is fallen. You understand? The public reputation that America has now is it is the place that loves anyone who has money, no matter what evil they've been charged with, no matter what abominable things that they've done. Donald Trump recently pardoned a billionaire from China who was convicted and charged with money laundering and with robbing people and stealing their money. Donald Trump set this billionaire free and gave him a pardon. Why? because his company invested $2 billion in Donald Trump's son's what they call it, cryptocurrency. Because this guy invested a bit in Bitcoin, $2 billion, Donald Trump gave him a pardon. Which shows you what? That the government is corrupt. Which shows you that the government is not following the laws and not dealing by the rules, but that there's clear conflicts of interest that is allowing people to get free from crimes they committed, and nobody's batting an eye. Why? Because Babylon has fallen and become the cage of every foul and unclean bird. Let's keep reading. Revelations 18:3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. That is all of the financial dealings that America is doing around the world right now. I just highlighted all of the financial deals that America has done with the Arab countries and all of those big oil producing nations that have gotten rich. They are now investing heavily in all American businesses, buying up everything they can. There's a company called EA. Let me pull it up. There's a company called EA, which makes Electronic Arts, which makes video games. Hold on. And this company has been bought out by an Arab company. And this Arab company now gets to control the entertainment and the gaming space of a major company. This is these companies waxing rich through the abundance of Babylon's delicacies. You understand? Let me go ahead and pull it up. Try to pull up this report for y'all, so you can see a visual representation. You can see a representation of what the Bible is speaking of concerning Babylon and its what's the name? So here we see on the screen, it says Saudi Arabia's public investment fund to own almost all of EA under buyout plan, report says. All right, so Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, they're doing what? They're investing in America. They're getting rich based off of dealings with America. This is the kings of the earth getting waxing rich. It says Saudi Arabia's public investment fund could reportedly own nearly all of Electronic Arts Incorporated under the buyout plan for the video game giant. The Saudi fund would own 93.4% of Redwood City-based EA, according to a Wall Street Journal report. It says private equity firm Silver Lake Partners would own 5.5% of the gaming company, while the Jared Kushner-run Affinity Partners would claim 1.1%. Representatives from EA, Silver Lake Partners, and Affinity Partners did not respond immediately to requests for comment. Announced in September, the $55 billion deal for EA would be the biggest leveraged buyout in history. The deal is expected to close next year, pending regulatory and shareholder approval. Skipping down a paragraph, it says the buyout offer comes as the video game industry has undergone consolidation and has struggled to return to the high growth rates it saw during the pandemic. While video games remain popular and some franchises are seeing success in their transition to film or series, EA's annual revenues have been stagnant over the last 3 fiscal years, fluctuating between $7.4 billion and $7.6 billion. So these Arabs have just done what? They've just come in and they have just invested in a company that has been making between 7.4 and 7.6 billion a year, which means what? They are waxing rich. They are getting rich. How? Why? Because of America and the abundance of its delicacies. There's not a market in the world that makes 7.4 to 7.6 billion dollars a year like video games does. And what is the country that has the most, buyers and players of video games? It's America. these Arab countries, the Saudi Arabia fund is just one of these Arab nation funds that is investing and getting rich in America. Again, let's go look at the private equity purchases among U.S. sports teams. You understand? Let's see something. Let's look at this right quick. All right. Let's see something. Boom. Private equity. Hold on. Bear with me. Hold on. See something. All right, so let's look at this right quick. I'm just going to pull this up for y'all. We're going to read this off the screen. Again, all of these stories are stories of these other nations waxing rich through the abundance of the delicacies of Babylon, of America, all right? So let me see if I can lift this up, zoom in on it, if it'll make it better for everybody that's watching online. Hold on. Bear with me. View tab. Okay. So let's look here on the screen. I'm going to read what it says, all right? Hold on, bear with me. It says, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund has been a significant player in the U.S. sports market, acquiring stakes in major sports organizations and teams. The kingdom's strategy includes lobbying firms to enhance its presence in the American sports landscape, potentially targeting the NBA and NFL. This approach not only aims to acquire U.S. sports leagues, but also intertwines with American political dynamics. You understand? Private equity investment in U.S. sports has surged, with firms like Arctos Partners and Redbird Capital Partners acquiring minority stakes in teams across all major leagues. The NFL's recent approval of private equity investment allows for a broader range of investment opportunities, reflecting the growth appeal of sports franchises as stable and diversified assets. The rise of private equity in sports is driven by the increasing value of media rights deals, fan engagement, and the expansion of sponsorship and merchandising opportunities. This trend is expected to continue as leagues like the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and MLS remove long-standing restrictions on private equity investment. What is all of this talking about? This is talking about there's an opportunity to get rich by buying into American sports. Again, these Arab countries, they used to only get their money through oil. Now they're going to get their money through being invested in American sports. Who are all the athletes that are involved in these American sports? All these sports they just named. The NHL, which is what? Hockey. The NBA basketball, the NFL, which is football, MLS, which is soccer. Who are the people that are running those sports? Now, the NHL, you could go ahead and say it's mostly Caucasians. You know what I'm saying? A lot of Europeans that are involved in that sport. But in baseball, football, basketball, so-called blacks and Hispanics run those sports teams. They are the athletes. They are the entertainers. They are the ones that are causing the prices to be driven up. And all these nations are coming doing what? They're investing in America, putting their money into America, because that is how they drink of the wine of the wrath of our fornication. It's how they get rich off the delicacies that Babylon makes available. All of the wealth and the riches that these other nations acquire by buying a stake in the oppression in America is what the Bible is describing concerning the fall of Babylon. You understand? The fall of Babylon is not bombs dropping. It's not tanks in the street. It's not the grocery stores won't open. The fall of Babylon is the presence of all evil and all wickedness in the society. It's the rich getting rich and the poor getting abused and taken advantage of. That is the state that we are in right now today. You understand? We can stop it. We can get off of the private investment funds and showing you how these other nations are putting their money into America to get rich. You understand? But let's keep let's drop that. All right. Well, no, let's hold up. Let's drop that for now. All right. We'll come back to Revelation chapter 18. All right. Again, Babylon is fallen. Is the state of Babylon being an evil place? You understand? Hold on. All right, let's get Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 6. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 6. All right. While we are in the midst of Babylon falling, you're going to continue to see these other nations do not want for Babylon to fall completely, because Babylon is still a place where they can wax rich. You understand? And there is a continued effort to try and prop America up, to keep it running and existing as a place where everybody can get rich, robbing and taking advantage of the poor. But we're going to see in these scriptures that the Lord is saying once Babylon begins to fall, there is no resurrecting it. There is no bringing it back. There is no saving it. You understand? Sister Shakaya had a question. She said, Salaki, sir, how do you combat black people in the world saying that we have rich black people too, when the talking point is how black people are being oppressed and underpaid in this country? Okay, Shakaya, what you have to understand is that the people who say that black people are rich too do not have an idea of what it means to be rich in this country. A lot of our people, because we have been oppressed for so long and enslaved for so long, we think that a couple $1 million is rich. We think that having owning a company is rich. We think that Tyler Perry getting his own movie studio is rich. We think that Shaquille O'Neal playing basketball and making $200 million is rich. We think that Michael Jordan being a billionaire is rich, when that is not rich. Rich is being the person that signs the checks that pays Michael Jordan. Rich is being the person that signs the checks that pays Puff Daddy and Jay-Z. Being rich is being the person that owns, government officials, that's lobbying in the courts in Washington to get certain laws and rules passed so that your business can thrive and prosper. That is rich. Anyone who you speak to that is black, that makes a point to talk about how black people are rich too and black people have wealth too, they are someone that's too poor to understand that even those rich people among us are still the bottom of the bottom when it comes to having wealth and actual real power in the world. You understand? That's all you have to do is ask them, Shakaya. Well, let's say they bring up Oprah. You say Oprah rich. Who signs Oprah's checks when Oprah get paid? And they bring up Jay-Z. Who hired Jay-Z? Who gave him an opportunity to make money? That's who's rich. That's who has the power. Not the cat that's getting a check cut. Somebody cuts Jay-Z a check. Just like all of us, we go to a slavery. Somebody cuts us a check. We're not rich. The nigga who signs our check is rich. I used to work at FedEx. Nobody that works at FedEx is rich. You know who's rich though? Fred Smith is rich. That's the owner of FedEx. He's rich. You understand? Anybody working for Jeff Bezos is not rich. Jeff Bezos is rich. You work for Merrill Lynch or the Lehman Brothers or Goldman Sachs, any of these big banks, you're not rich. You could make $50 million in bonuses. You know who's rich? Goldman Sachs is rich. The Merrill is of Maryland Lynch is rich. The Lehman of the Lehman Brothers, he's rich. You are an employee, you're not rich. You understand? You know who's rich? The Saudi Arabian Investment Fund. That's who's rich. The prince that sat down with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump kissed his ass and rubbed his hands and said, I love this guy, even though he hates and despises Arabs and Muslims. That's who's rich. Because they are the ones whose names are on the check. Their damn image is printed on the gold. But you just somebody that's working on a job, or you perform some service and you get paid, you're not rich. And that's what we're going to what the Bible says concerning what it means to be rich towards the end of the class. All right, Shakaya, to get you an understanding of what it really means to be rich in the sense that God speaks of. All right. So let's go ahead and get in Jeremiah chapter 51. I believe I said we're going to start in verse 6, right? Yeah, this is it. All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 6. It says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. You understand? That's the time we're in now. We are in the time where you can flee Babylon. You can get out of it while it's falling. But by the time that the bombs are dropping and the 911 is no longer working, it's too late to get out of Babylon at that time. What does it mean to get out of Babylon? Is it talking about physically going somewhere? No, we don't have to physically flee anywhere. Babylon is everywhere. The powers that be, the control that America has, the influence it has, it's everywhere. You understand? But what can you do? You can take your spirit out of Babylon. Take your spirit out of America. Stop celebrating its holidays. You understand? Stop worshiping its gods. Stop participating in the evil practices and the wickedness that goes on in this place. You could live in America and still obey God and live the life of an Israelite. That's what we do in the ISUPK. Since 1969, we have not left America. We ain't went to some other part of the earth. We stayed right here and went on the streets and taught our people. And at home, we obeyed the laws of God. We raised our children and taught them the truth. We don't stand when they sang the national anthem. We don't buy Christmas gifts. We don't eat turkey and cranberry and stuffing around Thanksgiving. We do all the things that God said to do. We keep the Passover. We keep the Feast of Purim. We celebrate Hanukkah, which is coming up December 14th. And because of it, we have created a society and a culture within this world that is unlike anything that Babylon represents. But there's going to come a time where it's going to be too late for you to find the truth, too late for you to change your life, because the destruction that comes from being joined to Babylon is going to have reached its peak. And think of all the people right now in the midst of the financial crisis going on in America. How many people are going to be destroyed by celebrating Christmas this year? How many people are going to not be able to pay their rent come January because they tried to give their children a good Christmas? How many people are going to be away from their families on these jobs trying to work crazy hours because they wanted to provide a Christmas for their families? I'm going to pull up a story in a second about a city in Nebraska where the company has just said they're going to lay off over 3,500 people. And this town in Nebraska only has 11,000 people. So everybody that's getting laid off, these are the parents of the children that go to school. You understand? These are the people that go to the grocery store and the shop. They go to the car parts place and get their car fixed on. They do business. These people losing their job is going to mean the end of this town. These 11,000 people are all going to be poor and broke now because the company decided, yeah, we're going to shut down this plant. And that poverty and that suffering, that is what is a part of the fall of Babylon. You understand? The fall of America. The signs of it are all around us. Unemployment is at an all-time high in this country. while the president gets on TV and says, "Oh, prices are the best you've ever seen." The story came out today that Costco is suing the government, suing Donald Trump for all of the money that they lost because of the tariffs that he illegally passed. He passed illegal tariffs that for the last 6 months has caused the prices of everything to go through the roof. Then the courts came and decided that was unconstitutional. He didn't have the right to do that. But what about all the people who've had to suffer over the last 6 to 8 months because of a decision that he decided to make out of his own mind? There's no justice. There's no recompense for them people. Their suffering is just collateral damage. The Lord said, and now's the time that he's going to begin to repay for the evil that has been done. You understand? Let's read on. This is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 7. It says, Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunk. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. Think of all the evil going on in the world. It's because these nations have been supported by America for a long time. The evil that exists in these nations have been allowed to go on because America was getting rich, because America was making money, because America was doing deals with them that allowed them to stay in power. You look at what's happening with Jeffrey Epstein right now. They're saying that they don't want the truth about Epstein to come out because then everybody will know that the American intelligence agencies knew that this man was molesting and doing evil to children, and they allowed it to happen because he provided information that gave them leverage over other people, over other countries. It's damn near like the evil of abusing children outweighed the power and the ability to have info on other people. That's I mean, just think about how diabolical that method of operations is. We're an organization that's trying to entrap people, trying to get people doing crimes and committing evil. We're trying to get money from them. But in order for us to get these people and ensnare them and to get, leverage over them, we got to allow this other guy to, sexually assault children. Little boys, little girls, we got to make sure he gets away with it. We got to make sure that when he go to court, he gets a deal where he gets immunity and all the people that are close to him get immunity and he just get probation, even though there's 20 women that came forward and said he abused them as they were, under the age of 16. Babylon has fallen and become the cage of every unclean and foul bird. You understand? Babylon is the place the earth has drunken of her wine. And because of drinking of the wine of Babylon, all the nations become mad. For many, many years, America has been the place that has allowed the proliferation of everything that is evil and disgusting and harmful to people. And it was allowed to persist this way because America was the place where everybody could get rich and get them a piece of the pie. Now, the Lord is bringing it down. Now it's falling apart. Now the dollar, the value is dwindling. People are becoming, disillusioned. They're seeing the truth. They're understanding that this is all lies and propaganda, and they're becoming fed up with it. That is Babylon is fallen. And the Lord is calling us now to get out of Babylon, get our spirit out of the American dream and the American way. Take our hearts and our minds out of a future in America, and let's start preparing to build our own future. Let's start preparing to enter into a kingdom that stands on God's law, stands on righteousness and obedience and discipline and always doing the right thing. That has to happen before Babylon is destroyed. Let's keep reading. Jeremiah 51:8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reaches up into heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. The Lord has brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord. You understand? they would have saved Babylon. They would have tried to heal it and give it some balm. That's what's happening right now with, the damn trying to get rid of the debt. They doing all types of stuff in the crypto markets, going back to the gold standard. All kinds of things are being done on a global financial scale to try and save America. The bombings in Venezuela, the potential war with Venezuela, the trying to stop the war in Russia with Ukraine, all of these moves that are taking place are financial moves that are meant to prop up America and keep America going. $40 billion deal with Argentina, forcing Argentina to commit for another 40 years to allowing the U.S. dollar to be the standard of their trade and their currency. All of these moves are being made to try and keep America afloat. All these deals are being done to try and stop the bottom from falling out. The Lord said you can't stop the bottom from falling out. The Lord is saying you cannot stop the pain that is coming. What is that pain? That pain is being felt by everybody right now. All of the families that, barely getting by, barely having enough money for groceries. They said that beef last year this time was about, $4.20 a pound. Said it's risen 44% in 1 year. And now that same pound of beef is like $7. From $4.40 something to $6, $7 for a pound of beef is insane. Why did that happen? Because Babylon is falling. Because everybody has to feel the pain of Babylon falling. And it's trickling down. It's going as with the rich in the stock market and it's with the poor at the grocery store. The Lord is making sure everyone feels the pain. Reading on. Jeremiah 51:10. The Lord has brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord our God. That's what we're supposed to be doing right now. We're supposed to be seeing these things going on, and we're supposed to understand that our righteousness is now come before the Lord. Why is Babylon falling? Why is the Most High bringing this place to his knees? Because we're beginning to wake up and come back to being the Lord's people. We're beginning to do what the Most High said to do, which is to call on his name and to seek his face and turn from our wickedness and obey him. And our obedience and our righteousness and turning back to the Most High coincides with the fall and the destruction of Babylon. The righteousness of Israel is what causes the destruction of Babylon. Christ will not return for a nation of drug dealers, for a nation of LGBTQ members, for a nation of gangbangers and drug dealers, sexually promiscuous women, and men who are, deviant in their dealings with women and with one another. Christ is not coming back for a nation like that. Christ is coming back for people that are righteous and standing with the Lord and obeying him and doing what he said to do. Because that is a people that is worthy of deliverance. And if you are not, then you're ripe for destruction. If you are not, then you are in the midst of Babylon, which is coming to be destroyed. You understand? Let's drop that. Drop that. Hold on. Bear with me. Bear with me. I'm looking at Isaiah 47, just not sure what scripture I want to start with, all right? No, let's not go to Isaiah 47. Bear with me, y'all. Hold up. All right, let's get there. Let's get Proverbs 29 and 2. Let's get Proverbs 29 and 2. Then we'll get into this, get into the stories of the financial crisis, how the Lord is attacking the gods of these holidays and that are worshipped by our oppressor while he's bringing down their economy and their financial status. All right. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2. Job, all right, here we go. Proverbs 20. This is Proverbs 29 and 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Everybody understands. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Babylon is not a place where the righteous are in authority. Babylon is a place where the wicked beareth rule, which means what? People here are mourning. People here are sad. Why are they sad? Why are they mourning? Because they're being dealt with treacherously. Because they're not getting a fair shake. Because they're not having an opportunity to live a decent life and to do what is right. Because they're in the land of oppression and the home of every foul and unclean bird. You understand? Let's drop that. So what are some examples of the people mourning? What are some examples of the people being in mourning? Look at this story right here. The story says Nebraskans lament Tyson decision to close Lexington plant with 3,200 workers. Why would Tyson decide to close a plant with 3,200 workers? Well, let's go ahead and get into the story. All right. It says, in a blow to the local economy of Lexington, Nebraska, Tyson Foods announced that it is closing the town's longtime Tyson beef plant that employed about 3,200 people. The Arkansas-based Tyson said in a statement that changes were designed to right-size its beef business and position it for long-term success. The Lexington plant is to close on or around January 20th. The statement did not elaborate on why the plant in the town of about 11,500 people was targeted. Let's drop that. All right. Let's read on down. All right. Read on down. It says, the Nebraska Cattlemen Board of Directors expressed disappointment, especially, it said, in light of Friday's U.S. Department of Agricultural data that Nebraska cattle on feed inventories remain slightly above year-ago levels in spite of the ongoing cyclical tightness in national cattle numbers. Quote, we firmly believe there isn't a better place to efficiently and economically raise cattle and produce beef than Nebraska, the board said in a statement. This will have a profound impact on the community of Lexington and many cattle producers. Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen called the state's cattle industry resilient and the envy of the world. He said Tyson leadership promised to work on future value-added opportunities in the state. Quote, big picture, our excellent cattlemen and cattle feeders have emerging opportunities and still have the Tyson market to sell into, as his planned reorganization will boost capacity and jobs at other Nebraska plants, Pillen said. But U.S. Senator Deb Fischer, a Republican from Nebraska, a member of the Senate Agricultural Committee, blasted the decision. As the single largest employer in Lexington, Tyson's announcement will have a devastating impact on a truly wonderful community, the region, and our state. It's no secret that just a few years ago, Packers like Tyson were making windfall profits while the rest of the industry was continuously in the red. I called on Tyson to do everything in its power to take care of the families affected by this short-sighted decision, she said. This is especially heartbreaking around the holidays. Well, let me backtrack. U.S. Senator Pete Ricketts, a Republican from Nebraska, said he would do what he could to support Nebraskans impacted and to help families find work close to home. This news is especially heartbreaking around the holidays, he said. U.S. Representative Adrian Smith, Republican from Nebraska, called the closure a disappointing loss for the city, Dawson County, the region, and cattle industry as a whole. Quote, Nebraska's hardworking cattle producers are innovative and highly efficient as they work to provide high-quality beef for consumers, Smith said. I welcome input from producers and stand ready to assist as we all move forward. In its announcement, Tyson said it recognized the impact its decision have on its team members and their communities. The company is committed to supporting our team members through this transition, including helping them apply for open positions at other facilities and providing relocation benefits, it said. U.S. Representative Mike Flood, another Republican from Nebraska, said in a statement that ranchers dutifully raised cattle even when times were hard. Now they are being abandoned. Everybody understands. So these are the same people that held this business together in the midst of the pandemic. The same essential workers that showed up and made sure that the industry didn't fall, made sure that people around this country were able to eat, and Tyson made millions of dollars. Well, as soon as the time comes to repay the favor, maybe Tyson profits won't be as much as they were during the COVID. Maybe their profits won't be as through the roof as it was in the days coming out of the COVID. But any opportunity that presents itself to abandon the poor and abandon the hard workers and to cause the people to mourn, America is the place where that is the number one decision to make. You make the decision that's in the best interest of the business. To hell with the people. We'll deal with them later. That is the type of rulership that exists in America. Capitalism, democracy, they're absolutely evil inventions against mankind. And all of the countries that stand on those two inventions always end up the places where people suffer the most. And then the people who, the rich business owners that cause the suffering, they say, listen, man, we have to work for our shareholders. We got to make sure that the people that's invested in this country, that they get their money first. Damn the people who are poor and working to make the company money. Damn the whole city that depends on these 3,200 people being able to go to work because they support all the other businesses. Tyson, that's not their bottom line. Babylon is fallen and become the home of every unclean bird. This place is about money and about the rich getting richer and the poor being despised and disrespected and taken advantage of. That is the condition of Babylon as it exists today. And my phone died. That's crazy. That is the condition of Babylon today. And the fall of America is going to continue to be swift with stories like what we just read about going on in Nebraska, with these people being laid off. I'm down here in Memphis, Tennessee. Right now, Memphis, Tennessee is a buzz about all of the potential that exists for Memphis to be turned into what they call a smart city. You got Elon Musk down here building supercomputers. You got other companies coming in here trying to, prospect and scope out the land to bring different types of, AI opportunities here. They want to build supercomputers and they want to turn Memphis into a small, metropolis, because Memphis is a major manufacturing and distribution hub for the rest of the earth, really. You understand? FedEx's headquarters is here in Memphis. At the airport here in Memphis, FedEx every night has about 72 planes that land here in Memphis, and they distribute and break down all the mail from all across the earth They funnel it through the system that is at this factory, and then they package all that stuff back up and send it back on planes. And those same 70 planes that land every night around between the hours of 9 and 11, between the hours of 3 and 5 in the morning, all those planes are flying back out all around the world to drop mail off. Well, Elon Musk came down here and built a supercomputer. Google and Amazon have factories and giant plots of land that they own down here. Memphis, Tennessee sits on the largest freshwater aquifer in the United States of America. And that fresh water, they need it for all of their supercomputers and all of their this and that. Memphis is in the state of Tennessee, which is largely a Republican state, where they don't have environmental regulations on what you can and can't do in the environment. So they get to pump pollution into the sky and poison the Mississippi River, do all types of evil, horrible things. Meanwhile, there's poor black people in this city that can't get ahead. You get a job, but the jobs that end up paying more, guess what? The rent on the houses go up more. And now you're doing this, you're working a job getting paid twice what you were 5 years ago, but you're still in the same living condition because the cost of living has risen to surpass the amount of money that you're getting. They say that Memphis is a city that's bad with violence, and they got the National Guard down here. They made Memphis to be a city that's bad with violence because of how impoverished the people are. And they want you to think that it's bad because black people are, horrible and out of control, when really they're starving these people to death down here. There's all kind of companies coming down here with large investments and large, plots of money they're giving to these government officials to get the licenses to do what they want to do. But none of that money is making it to the ghetto. None of that money is making it to the poor people. Even these companies that come here, Amazon and FedEx and UPS, all of the billions of dollars that they're making, you think that they would raise the pay for these workers to be able to get ahead. No, they keep the cost of, they keep the prices down low. I worked at FedEx out through COVID, right? And they kept giving everybody raises because they needed us to work. But they started to cap the raises at like $29, $30 an hour. It's cats that I knew working at FedEx, been there for 20 years. And they were stuck making $29 an hour because they couldn't get no more. There was people like me that came in the door making 17. When I got hurt early this year, I was up to making 26. How I've been here 3 years and I'm making 26. But there's a cat that's been here 15. He only making 29. It's insane. Why would you cap the amount of money somebody could make working for your company when they've been here that long? When they worked through the pandemic and worked through the this and that. It's not fair. It's not right. But that's America. That's why it's fallen. You understand? Because of the unfair and cruel treatment of the poor. The unfair and cruel treatment of the people that actually make this place run. And it's written into the laws and the government and the culture of how this place operates. That is why the Bible says that Babylon has fallen and become the cage of every foul and unclean bird. You understand? The fall of Babylon precedes the destruction. And we are living in the days of the fall of Babylon. America has fallen and become the cage of every foul and unclean bird. America has fallen, and all of the kings that get rich through the abundance of her delicacies and they drunk the wine of her fornication, they are all going to stand by and watch America be destroyed. It's going to start, it already started with the morality being eroded. It continued with the government being exposed to not have any morals or any, follow any rules or obey any laws. The next thing is going to be the financial markets crashing. And the financial stability that many of us have come to be, comfortable with is going to be taken away. Then you're going to see the all-out physical manifestation of the destruction with fire and with bombs and with, civil unrest all out in the streets. And at that time, you had better getting yourself right with God. You had better giving your spirit to the Most High, because at that time, it's now too late for you to change. It's now too late for you to get it right. You understand? Now is the time to take your spirit out of America. Now is the time to take your heart out of this place, because by the time the bombs are dropping and the fires in the street and the grocery stores are not opening, the men of the Lord are not going to be around for you to find, to learn this truth and to understand what it is that you need to be doing. That is already being decided now. That's already being discussed now. That's already being, the plans are being laid out now. By the time the destruction is here, it's going to be too late. You understand? Let's drop that. Let's get my phone died, so all my notes and my precepts is gone. But I want to get in Revelations. Man. All right, let's get Revelations 18 and verse 15. Hold on. There's so much good in here. I don't want to read too much on it though. Hold up. I get Revelation 18. Get Revelation 18 and verse 15. All right. Revelation 18 and 15. We're gonna close it on this. Against the lock. My phone died. That's how I got all my notes and my everything in there. It ain't gonna be able to come back up in time. I'm gonna get this last scripture. If there's any questions in the class, y'all go ahead and bring them out. If not, once we get through with this, we'll clip it. All right. I do want to get into one more story. Okay. The next big thing that is going to take place that is going to cause a severe strain on the financial markets here in America is what's being referred to as the AI bubble. You understand? There's a movie that came out in like 2015, 2016. It's a movie called The Big Short, right? The movie The Big Short was about the 2008 housing crisis and how before the crisis was full out in the streets and people was losing their money and all these houses were getting foreclosed on, there were cats in the financial system that were warning that this housing bubble was going to burst and that all these banks would be wiped out because they were holding on to too many assets that didn't have any value. Well, right now in the current economy in the world that we're living in today, there is another bubble that is forming, and it is a bubble that is forming based on all of the investment that's being made in artificial intelligence right now. If you're anybody that deals in finances or deals in the financial markets, right now there's companies that are investing in artificial intelligence like NVIDIA, like Google, like Amazon, you understand? Like Elon Musk and his SpaceX. There's a lot of companies that are taking the government bonds and stocks. Their money is being tied up in AI investment because these companies that in charge of these computer chips and in charge of this programming, they're saying the next big amazing get rich thing is going to be off of AI. Once we get this AI, raised up and trained and streamlined, and we're making robots and we're making software that's going to help people. Oh, there's going to be so many trillions of dollars that's being made in AI. But the time for those things to be real has not arrived yet. So right now, there are companies who are getting rich, who are getting crazy billion-dollar investments on the possibility that their product is going to be useful in 10 years, in 5 years, in 20 years. But what happens if these companies that are being invested in don't end up being worth anything? What if AI isn't going to be as needed or as big a deal as they're making it out to be? Well, then all these companies and all of these infrastructures that have invested in AI, when the reality that this AI is not worth what they were projecting it was worth comes to pass, everybody's going to lose money. Everybody's going to be out of billions of dollars, including companies who invest people's retirements and 401ks. There's a lot of people right now. Recently, I just went into my 401k and pulled some money out because of a financial strain that I'm in right now. And I went and looked at what my money was being invested in, and that money being invested in nothing. Getting damn near no growth on my money. But there's other people whose money, because they don't know what's going on, their money being invested in cryptocurrency. Their money is being invested in AI right now. Their money is being invested in places that they don't have any understanding of what these investments mean. And when these things fail, guess what? A lot of people are going to be out of money. A lot of people whose futures are dependent on the survivability of the American financial system are going to be in hell. They are going to be destroyed along with Babylon because they did not know to look out for the signs of Babylon falling. You understand? So let me go ahead and pull this up for y'all. I'm going to make it big on the screen so you can see. Try to increase the size of it. All right. Okay, it says the AI bubble refers to the rapid rise in investment and hype surrounding artificial intelligence technologies, leading to inflated valuations that may not be sustainable. Understanding the AI bubble. The term AI bubble describes a situation where the excitement and investment in AI technologies have outpaced their actual performance and profitability. This phenomenon is characterized by several key factors. Number one, hype versus reality. The AI industry has generated enormous hype with claims that AI will revolutionize various sectors. However, many AI products have struggled to deliver on these promises, leading to skepticism about their true value. Number two, investment surge. In the first quarter of 2025, AI and machine learning startups attracted nearly 58% of all global venture capital funding, amounting to around $73 billion. This influx of capital has driven up valuations significantly, often beyond what the companies can justify based on their earnings. Meaning what? These companies are being valued at $400 billion, $500 billion, but they only made $73 billion this year. So why is a company being valuated at such a high amount if they're really only worth this amount? Because that high valuation makes more people want to invest. It makes more people put their money and their support into a product, and that's what drives up the price. And again, any company in America, what is their bottom line? Their bottom line is making sure that the investors get paid. Their bottom line is making sure that the shareholders are taken care of. Their bottom line is not the people. Their bottom line is not the workers for the company. So guess what? What happens when all of these people that's putting all this money into AI realize that AI isn't really worth what they thought it was worth? Everybody's going to lose their money. That's what happened during the housing market crash in 2008. The housing market bubble burst. At the time, everybody was investing in real estate. Everybody was buying houses and flipping houses and getting loans and doing this and that. Why? Because they thought that everybody going to keep buying houses. Everybody wants to buy a house. Who don't want a house? Not realizing that there wasn't enough money in the economy for everybody to afford a house. Not knowing the banks were giving loans to people that they knew were going to fail just because they were able to get the money on the front end. But the AI bubble is the same way. Number three, comparison to past bubbles. Analysts draw parallels between the current AI landscape and the dot-com bubble in the late 1990s, where excessive speculation led to inflated stock prices and a subsequent crash. Similar patterns are observed today with AI companies being valued at high multiples that may not reflect their actual financial health. Potential risks and consequences. The AI bubble poses several risks to investors and the broader economy. Overinvestment. Many companies are heavily reliant on external funding to sustain operations, particularly for costly AI infrastructure. If investor sentiment shifts, these companies could face immediate cash flow issues, leading to layoffs, shutdowns, or forced sales. Market correction. Experts warn that a correction is imminent as the gap between AI valuations and actual performance narrows. If the bubble bursts, it could lead to significant losses for investors and a revaluation of the AI sector's potential. Impact on the economy. The AI sector has become a major driver of economic growth, accounting for a significant portion of GDP growth in recent years. A downturn in this sector could have ripple effects across various industries, particularly those closely tied to technology and innovation. So what does that mean? It means that right now there's a potential for the reality of AI and its future potential to be realized, and it's going to cause all these companies who have seen investment skyrocket since the start of 2025 have to go to the people that made investments in them and say, yeah, B, we ain't really going to be able to make the money that y'all thought we was going to make. And there's nothing that we could do to make up for it. So you're just going to lose out because you gave us $700 billion, but we only really going to be able to make $80 billion. And in that day, it's a lot of people that's going to be hurt. Right now, I think they said the American economy is tied to AI right now. If the AI bubble was to burst, the U.S. stocks and bonds and all of that, all the government's wealth and value is tied into it. I think it's like 33% or something like that, which means AI is too big to fail. Just like that's what they said about the banks in 2008. Certain banks were too big to fail. AIG, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, Fannie Mae, they couldn't let them companies fail. So what did the banks do? They bailed them out. But because of the bailout that occurred in 2008, there is no bailout money right now. There's no bailout for nobody that's going on right now, which is why you see the rich are gobbling up all the wealth and resources that they can. Because the next bubble that bursts, the next bottom that falls out, that is the end of America as we know it as a major player in the financial markets on the earth. And in that day, we get the fulfillment of what we read about here in Revelations. Revelation 18, verse 11. It says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. The merchants of gold and silver and precious stones and the pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. There's going to come a time where the money that America used to make rich everybody on the earth is not going to be worth anything. And that money not going to buy you nothing. And it's going to hurt the people who got so rich because of selling to America. The fall of Babylon, the fall of America, is the destruction of society as we know it. Because this is a society that is built on, enslaving people. It's business, man. That enslavement is not just physical. That enslavement is mental and spiritual, making you a consumer, consumerism and materialism. That is the slavery of Babylon today. You understand? You are merchandise because what? Everybody gets rich selling to you. You the one that buy the diamonds and the grills and the rims on the car and the candy paint. You the one that's buying the, expensive fragrances and expensive odors and smells and the name brand clothes. Black people are a $3 billion a year industry in America to the rest of the world. But when the economy falls and the bottom falls out and Babylon is falling, it's not going to be no more buying. Revelations 18 and 16. And saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping, wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. The fall of America is the vengeance of God. It's the reward of the righteous who serve and obey the Most High. Now is the time to take your spirit out of America. Become who the Lord called you to be. Learn the discipline and the focus that is required in order to obey God's laws and to take your spirit out of the consumerism and the materialism and the comfortability that you have, loving and being accepted and joining yourself to this society and to this culture. Everything that's taking place in the media and the news with the government, it is the Lord giving us an opportunity to see the reality of this place. And the reality of this place is that it is fallen far from where it used to be, and it will never recover again. Things are only going to get worse. The economy is only going to get worse. The morality is only going to get worse. You understand? The things that are acceptable and appropriate are only going to get worse. So now is the time to take your spirit out of America. And with that, with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York, since 1969, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge has been teaching so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2025, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on this earth. With that, brothers and sisters, got family, loved ones, people you care about in the Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas, get them in contact with the ISUPK. With that, I'll see y'all in class tomorrow. Israel, shalom.